Today was mostly a working day at home. Wanted to get out for a bit, had a quick meeting, and then a long phone call. So I'm now exiting Cheesecake, which is an incredibly beautiful garden. I wish I would have filmed while I was in there, but I couldn't because I was talking on the phone. But anyways, off to find something to eat, maybe at home. I don't know if much is going to happen today. I don't know if there's much worth filming, but I will film what I have and see what I end up with. I'm hungry, but I don't really have a mood for anything specific, so I'm gonna walk down here. I need to grab some groceries too. So I don't know, I'm probably gonna end up, there's a really good shawarma shop that's down here, and unless I find something before then, although I think there's a Mexican place right next door that I've been wanting to try, so maybe I will stop there. I don't really want to quite go home yet. It is, I think it's like 7 o'clock. At my watch, and still it's very, very light out. We're approaching white nights. Here is, I think that's the marriage palace. You always see there are a bunch of brides in the garden behind me taking photos, because after they get married they go take photos. And this is the one, if I remember, is the only one that foreigners can get married at, or if you're marrying a foreigner, you're Russian marrying a foreigner, I think you have to go to this one. And they get married in these places called marriage palaces, which is because in the Soviet times they didn't really promote religion, but they wanted to have a ceremony and things. So they went to these marriage palaces. And it's still a tradition that sticks around today. So I like this street. You can walk down the middle. We still have a few consulates here. So here's a German consulate. I haven't been there in about 25 years. But they were extremely unfriendly. Very hostile. Not nice people in there. Hope they've gotten nicer people because they were mean. Here's I guess a display about the Blockade of Leningrad. I need to go back to the museum. This one here, you can see it says without the heat and without light. Yeah, the Blockade of Leningrad. And there's different pictures. It was really bad. It's far worse than most Americans can understand. I don't remember how many people died, but people were starving to death here in St. Petersburg. It was really bad for a couple years. Well, I am hungry. I don't want to spend a lot of money to do a little experiment today, so looks like I'm headed to this really good shawarma place. Besides, I have to pee. And then what happens after that, I don't know. Maybe I'll go home, maybe I won't. We'll see. Okay, I went for shawarma, but I went for a codfish shawarma. It's the first time I ever tried the codfish one. Usually get the beef here, and they have a ½ kilo one, so that's over a pound, 500 grams. Last time I could barely finish it. So here's my ½ kilo codfish shawarma. Let's see how it tastes. That is actually really good. Really good. That codfish shawarma was way better than I expected. I mean, like, of course, everything I've had at that place has been fantastic, but now we are going for cheesecake. It's about $1 for the cheesecake. It's not a huge piece. It's just about the right size. Actually, I wish it was a little bit bigger. It's not tiny. I guess it's right sized. And then I think I'm gonna go out for some minion juice with a friend. Some more. I had some minion juice at the shawarma place. It wasn't bad, although I should have gotten the tomato ghost instead. So let's check this place out. French dogs, of course. But here we are. Going for the cheesecake. Cheesecake and a large tea, $1.60. Doesn't make any sense. This one's red, the next one's green. I guess for turning colors. Anyways, I don't know. That cheesecake's really good. I mean, for just over $1. It used to be under $1, but now it's a little more $1. Wow. And tea included for $1.60. Yeah. I love these tree-lined streets, especially the ones you can walk down the middle. And I had a friend visiting from Moscow a couple days ago. I mean, Moscow is a very nice place, got lots of parks, but St. Petersburg is, I mean, not that Moscow is not unwalkable. Moscow is very walkable. But St. Petersburg is just like extra walkable. Parks just everywhere. There's so many streets like this, and not only in the center, although I'm in the center right now. Yeah, there are a few spots that are like, what was somebody thinking? Like, especially near the bridges, sometimes you can't just cross across or go underneath. You gotta like cross 6 streets or walk half kilometer away to cross a simple street. But in most cases, it's very walkable. Very enjoyable. Many days I just go out and walk. I just get off at a metro station and walk in a direction and see what happens, or I take a random bus or a random trolley somewhere and just go till it ends, or usually I find something more interesting and I get off beforehand. But otherwise, yeah, I love walking around the city, even in the winter. I mean, less in the winter. I mean, here, look, see, there's another street this way, so it's basically a cross street. There's a center walkway there, center walkway there, center walkway there, center walkway there, and that's just this city. Even many days, the other day, like, I was walking home, like, oh, I'll just walk to the metro, and then I'm like, oh, I'll walk a little farther, and then I'm walking all the way home, and it was like an hour. You just don't feel it because you walk through the city, and especially at white nights, it's just incredible. I mean, here I have like a short block to go, just a short block. But even then, I'm going to cross over the street here so that I can go through this tree-lined middle again. And it's just incredible. And I don't know what time it is now. I think it's around 8 o'clock. See, it's very light. We're not quite to white nights yet, but we are getting there. Juiciest metro station. It's probably where I'll come back to later, unless I wander too far. You'll see I'm going to a place called Aussie. Not Aussie like Australian. This is OSSI. Apparently it's this really cool mini juice spot that's like decorated with Soviet decor and stuff. Walk past it all the time. So friend says, get together. What is that pigeon doing? No, it's not a pigeon. It's a, sorry. Is it a seagull? It's eating another bird. Yeah. That's disgusting. Seagull eating another bird. Well, I guess. Anyways, seagull eating a pigeon. His beak's all bloody. I guess to each seagull that's own. That's what that thing was. Jake, right? Seagull. Anyways. So yeah, headed off. Got my tea in hand and just enjoying the city. And I don't know what time. You know, I thought I'd go home and end up at home at a certain time and going to the grocery store, and that's how my days end up. I just eat and wander and drink and wander, and I worked the day this morning, so see what happens. There's something healing about walking about the city, the beautiful buildings, the beautiful streets. I mean, the minion juice didn't hurt, but nonetheless, the great weather. Oh, the weather. It's been a very mild winter, but Russian friend yesterday said this winter was too warm, and I had to explain it wasn't too warm. It was warmer than usual. A little grammatical correction there. You can't have too warm a winter. Like many Russians, like, global warming, bring it on. At least a little bit, right? Keep forgetting about the bicycles. I have ridden the bicycles several times this year, but then it got warm, cold. I rode one on Sunday twice to get to where I was going and back. So maybe I won't take the metro home today. Maybe I'll take a bike and see how I feel. Always good exercise, and it's so nice to ride across the bridge and see the river. Is just this. I don't know how to describe it. The central river, where it comes between the Tiany Most and Volsville Most, the Palace Bridge, with Toritsky Most in the middle. It gets very wide. It's almost like a lake, like right in the middle of the city, and it looks nothing like Geneva, Switzerland, but it kind of reminds me because it's got this something like a big lake in the middle, but it's got the fortress on one side and palace on the other, and the aurora, and it's just such a really cool sight. And every time I go across that bridge, you look and it's just like, wow. Look at that building. I don't know if you can see, it's got little faces above the arches of the windows on the 3rd floor. So yeah, I mean, it's like being a fugitive is not as easy as it looks. I know I make it look easy. I mean, I was a Microsoft regional director, I was a regional developer advisor. I mean, I had a good career. I mean, I was making multiple 6 figures 20 years ago. And the FBI came along and just decimated my career, because when you're wanted by the FBI, you know, Microsoft is kind of like baka baka. And it's been a rough 20 years. I mean, financially, mentally, whole bit. Fortunately, I got a good, strong family. But, you know, staying afloat is a hustle. I'm working on some long-term stuff. I mean, I could teach English. I could even take an IT job, but I'm not looking for a 9 to 5. I don't want to go back to that. And for now, we're tight, but we're a comfortable tight. So I'm going to keep working on long-term things. Had some setbacks on some projects and ideas I had, but on the other hand, I'm making big progress in social media. I mean, shoot, I was on a Red Square for the 80th anniversary Victory Day. I mean, that's not nothing. So I'm making good inroads on social media content, but monetizing it has been another thing, because, you know, Instagram doesn't pay $10 a month. YouTube, unless you have long form videos, you're not going anywhere. YouTube, the shorts, they promote the long form videos, and the only way you're going to go anywhere on YouTube with shorts only is if you got nice body parts, and these aren't doing it. So sorry. And I'm not willing to get you know, Botox for y'all. Not that dedicated. So TikTok is a little bit different, but TikTok, people don't realize TikTok only pays for viral videos. So it's like, you know, 1 month you can make like $50, and next month you can make a reasonable amount. But unless you got viral videos, you're not making anything off TikTok. And with my status, it's really hard too, because, you know, I don't have bank accounts, so it gets really tricky. So we're working on some merch. I do take sponsorships in Russia, so if you're in Russia and you want me to come make some videos or something, hey, I'm down. Now, what do you say about, but from September it's illegal to advertise with Instagram? Yes, but there's a technicality. See, it's illegal to pay Instagram for advertising if you're dealing with them, but it's not illegal to sponsor an influencer. An influencer chooses where to put their stuff, because I'm going to put it on YouTube and everywhere, so that's not illegal. And TikTok is not blocked in Russia or sanctioned whatsoever by the Russian government. Anyways, so if you're in Russia, you like English content, I'll get to some Russian content at some point. I am traveling next week for 3 days. I'm going to Nizhny Novgorod. So all of you who say, go outside of Moscow and St. Petersburg, first of all, I have. I've gone to the village of Sestroretsk, and Vladivostok. And also later on, I'm going to be going to Nizhny again, Orenburg, Kazan, like 8 cities I'm going to be going to in June. And then in July or August, I should be headed to Krasnoyarsk. You can't get much farther out than that. And some other farther areas beyond Krasnoyarsk even. And hopefully we'll end up in Irkutsk and Baikal, where I started my Russian adventure. And also Sochi and Adler, possibly Mineralny Vody. So yeah, we're gonna be getting around. So, and I hope to at some point get to Petrozavodsk, maybe even Murmansk, but this summer's already kind of filling up. And plus, you know, there's a limited budget, but sometimes I get qualified. People invite me to go places for other reasons, and then go from there. Hey, look what I found.
Hello!
I found a Ryan.
It is a Ryan, a wild Ryan.
It's a Ryan.
Yeah, it's a Ryan.
This is the wild variety of Ryan.
Yeah.
So
it's a full house in there, Chad. Yeah. They got a film going on. That being said, there's a lovely Guinness just over there.
I like Guinness.
Well, then that complicates things.
Well, let's turn off the camera for a second. We're gonna think where we're gonna go.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. We ended up at Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Inexpensive minion juice. Chill place.
Yeah, nice merch here too.
Yeah. The October Theater. It's one of the local regional theaters here. It's not like a Bolshoi or Mariinsky, but it's pretty nice inside. I've been in some performances in there. Kind of want to take a bike home, but I need some groceries. And if I take a bike home, I won't make it there before it closes. So if I shop here, I can get the metro. But then I'll walk home or take a bike. I don't know. I mean, I feel like exercise, but I don't feel like carrying a bag. So I think I'm just going to go to the grocery store and take the metro home. This is Vukusville. Russians call this the Russian Whole Foods. It's like, it's not as expensive as Whole Foods. It's actually affordable, but it is a little higher priced than the other stores. So far I got some herring under a fair coat. It's salted herring with beets and mayonnaise and potatoes. And for some lettuce. It's an iceberg, but I don't know. Otherwise, you want to see what a Russian Whole Foods looks like. Yeah. I added some greens. I got some nice tomatoes and olives and feta breads at home. Some cucumbers. I'm trying to find hummus. You'd think that like the Russian version of Whole Foods would have it. I mean, our cheap grocery stores have it, but I cannot find it here. I think I'm gonna walk home anyways. It's about a 40-minute walk. And the metro station right here. I got Kevin saved me again for the groceries. And it is a really nice night. So I'm gonna walk. There's the metro station over here, so I can always get on there, or I can jump on a bike. I kind of want to walk across the river. It's just really nice. This is a very yummy place to eat. Very good. Highly recommended. Good meat. Just take it in. This is my walk back to the train station. That's usually my last destination. Usually by the time I get there, I'm pretty tired. And then from there, I'll take a bike or something, or maybe we'll see, but I'm definitely gonna walk nice. To the student in Moscow who said he's never seen a street cleaner, you must be without vision. Again, I'm in St. Petersburg, and they are everywhere. About Russia, that is just civilized and public order that I can't explain to Westerners or Americans. I'm not saying it's the only place. In fact, there are other places in Eastern Europe as well. But something left over from the social order that just, now I get American individualism. Certainly you want to be able to be an individual, but there's something to be said about being part of a public society as well, and caring about your parks and things like that, and just being orderly in public. Even during rush hours, you will find people are not pushing. There might be lots of people, but they won't be pushing. And it's just so different to say, and again, I've been out of the US for, last time I even visited was 20 years ago. But it's just something so different from anything I found in the US. I'm not saying the US is uncivilized. I'm just saying that there's far more public disorder, and I don't mean the kind that police crack down on. I mean just the kind that how people act when they're in public, how they have respect for others, and it's something you almost have to come here to see. So not only am I going to walk across the bridge, but I'm going to walk down to the river before I head, I guess it's west over towards the bridge, and walk along the river itself. Which I think the crossing's over on this side. And I want to cross them, and I like walking on the tree-lined boulevards. I talked before, the river is over there. And I don't know exactly what time it is, but it's after 10 o'clock because Burger King's closed, and I plan to be there. So I think I can make it home. Just take a minute with me and walk down this lovely street. And St. Petersburg is absolutely filled with these. Peaceful, safe, serene. You will find people just sitting on the benches here, reading books, listening to music, old people, young people, couples, because they can, because it's part of the culture. And I really do want to invite everybody, and again, I'm sure your country has many things too, but come experience Russia, because it's nothing like what you're being told. The only kind of thing that kind of stinks is when you're walking down some of these. To cross to the next one, you got to go 1, 2, 3 to get back to the middle. Not all of them are that way, and in some of the traffic intersections, all the lights will go green and red. Sorry, all the lights will go red at once, so you can cross diagonally. It'd be kind of cool if they did it at these ones, but nonetheless, it's a fantastic walk. One of my favorite Vietnamese places. I didn't know there was one over here. I'll have to keep that in mind. Another one of my favorite restaurants. They're all over St. Petersburg. And I found there's a 24-hour grocery up here, Eurospar. So that's good to know for the future too, because most of the grocery stores, not all of them, close around 11. But I already got my groceries for the day. Got a ready-made sandwich too from Vukusville. Their packaged sandwiches are actually pretty good. Another street cleaner. Told you, they're everywhere. Now this one gets weird. They had to put in a turning lane, so they widened it from 2 to 3. They took away from the island here. And here, you know, the island, it's a nice wide island. You got trees and benches. This island is literally it's lampposts and a sidewalk in the middle. I mean, it's I'm glad they preserved it, but and it kind of goes nowhere to nowhere. But anyway, it's still cool. I think I'll take a walk down it just for the novelty. But previous one didn't have traffic lights, so at least I could zip around. These ones I gotta wait for 3 lights, which, well, you know. But actually, this is one of the ones that goes all green at the same time, all red for traffic, all green for walking. So I could have cut across the middle, technically. Okay, taking the cool building, church there, and then here's this. It's just like street, sidewalk, but you know, the fact that they preserved it and the way the streetlights come together is just kind of cool. They could have just completely blown it away. And up here is the river, as you can see. And there's a ship model we're gonna take a look at. There we go, ship. And look at this, how can you leave this? Again, Moscow is quite beautiful, but if you, I don't know, St. Petersburg, like if you know, that over there is Kresty Prison, very, very old. Still active, but they're closing it and turning it into a tech hub and shopping mall. Off in the distance, again, is the Petrograd television tower. Off in the distance there is Lyrical Tower, the tallest skyscraper in all of Europe. And you can see people are just sitting here. Nothing to do is fishing, but you often see people fishing. They're just enjoying the beautiful reflections off the river. And I think it's probably around 11 o'clock now, I don't know. But take a look over here. That white thing is Latini Bridge. And between here and the next bridge, it's actually a bit of a ways. Normally they're not that far, but there is a pretty big gap between this one and the next bridge. And so it's a major thoroughfare here. And over hidden in that gap is the train station where I'm going to, because it's a transportation hub. I can cut from there and catch a train, bus, trolley, bike, or if I really want to continue walking and make it home. And that's where I stop filming because I don't want anybody to know where I live. So that's my transit point. And that's why you see me hopping on and off there all the time and shopping there. Kind of my last point. But wow. Another poster, and no, it's not propaganda for any sort of active thing. It says, "We remember 1945, 2025. More memories of the 80th Victory Day." And again, especially, I mean, it's a big thing in Moscow and all of Russia, because Russia lost about 27 million people in World War II, compared to the Americans who lost around 250,000. And of course, I'm not dissing the American contribution. I have family members who fought in World War II, and I have medals from one of my uncles, my great uncles, who died in the Battle of the Pacific. Oh, fireworks! Look at that, fireworks. So, but I don't think many people realize the sacrifice that the Soviet Union, not Russia, Soviet Union, which included Ukraine. Ukraine had massive losses too, in the millions. I don't remember. I think it's like, I want to say around 8 million. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But the Soviet Union as a whole lost massive amounts of casualties and contributed far more to the victory of World War II than especially Americans like to concede. And again, America had a huge contribution. Both sides did, but unfortunately the way American history is taught is America won World War II, and yeah, the other people helped, but that's not really what happened. It was a monstrous collaborative effort, especially in Europe. There we go, the train station's over there. And that's what I'm headed to, because, well, the metro's still open. I looked, it's a little after 11. So usually if the metro's still open, for me to jump on the metro is the fastest way to get home from there. So let's see when I get over there. Sometimes I just enjoy riding the trolleys or taking a bike. I don't know. It's kind of, by the time I get over there, I'm usually fairly tired. And again, I have a policy. I don't film beyond the train station. And I don't film before I get to the train station. I don't see the fireworks over there. Sometimes, like 2 years ago, they used to be like every night. And I really love fireworks, but they're not always at a fixed time. I don't know if they're for weddings or what. And they certainly have them on holidays and things. So I'm gonna have to go. There's no crossing above the bridge here. But fortunately, this is one of the bridges that you can walk under and come up the other side, because I like to walk on the other side of the bridge, because this side of the bridge is pretty. But the other side of the bridge is really fantastic because we're gonna see the center of the city, and I just love to walk on this side of the bridge. How about news while we walk? So, the Dow, US Dow, just tumbled more than 800 points, and bonds fall as concerns rise over America's status as a safe place to invest. Now, it's a little bit of a clickbait headline, but at the same time, been coming for a long time. In fact, the reason the ruble it came under 80 today, it's like 79.7 to the dollar, is because the ruble did strengthen a bit, largely because of the peace talks and the hope of peace talks. But then the dollar weakened when Trump did all of his tariffs, and now I actually prefer the ruble a little bit weaker because, you know, we have dollars, so it's got a little more expensive. It was, anyways, less expensive than 100. But I know the central bank had targeted around 92 by the end of the year, and something came out today that to balance the budget, they wanted to be around 100, but not too far beyond 100 because then it's detrimental. And why would they want to do that? Well, with oil exports. So if oil is capped at, I don't know, $70 a barrel or something, well, 70 times 100 is more rubles than 70 times 80. So it makes it a lot easier to pay off internal things. So for me, yeah, definitely feel a bit better up around there, make things, because things have definitely got more expensive for me anyways. So we're going under the bridge. I am not scared whatsoever. It's well lit. There are single women as well walking out here, couples, very safe after 11 o'clock. And look what we're coming up on. So as far as the dollar and so forth, yeah, I mean, America is still a safe place to invest, but with all the things going on, America showing how it's willing to continue to interfere, use the dollar to sanction, which they have never done to this level before, seize the assets. China and others are pulling out of dollars, and that's also causing a weakening of the dollar. So my midterm forecast, and I'm not an economist, but I've been fairly accurate over the recent decades, look at this over here, is that the US is in for, you know, I mean, it's not going to like collapse or anything, but the US economy is definitely headed for some downturns in the coming years. It's just been building up for a long time, and the reason it hasn't so far is largely momentum as the world's reserve currency. But as it abuses that position, more and more countries are selling off dollars for gold or euros or a basket of other currencies. Now we're up top, going across the bridge. Definitely feeling like I have to pee soon, but there is a toilet in the train station, and it's actually safe and clean. It even has music, mood music. So, I mean, not that that's like the killer feature, but it's nice to have public toilets that are safe and clean. And just a little thought of mood music is like, some public servant somewhere is like, you know, I'm gonna add a little bit of a sprucing to this. And here is downtown, wonderful St. Petersburg. And this is the area I talked about earlier. Over there, the river splits off and loops around. And there, down there, the river splits off again. And down there, it splits off again into two and comes out of Gulf of Finland. So this area here looks like a big lake. And although it looks nothing like Geneva, Switzerland, it kind of reminds me of it just to have this big lake, although it's not really a lake, in the middle of the city. Look at the wonderful details here. This ironwork. It's all across the bridge. The entire bridge has that ironwork. And this is a drawbridge. This is one of the joints right here. And at 140, this bridge will go up at 140 and it'll stay up for about 4 hours. And if I remember, this is the longest single span drawbridge in, I don't remember, I don't know if it's Europe or something, but anyways, it's a really, for a drawbridge, the length of the single span, because some of the drawbridges here are double spans, but this one is really long. I don't remember the exact figure, but it's long. When it goes up, it really sticks way up in the sky. Okay, I'm gonna say goodnight in front of this lovely building here, which I think is very awesome. The metro station's right there. And it's still open for another half hour or so. So I'm gonna jump on the metro, and I will see you on the next adventure.